Lewis Hamilton said that Valtteri Bottas left the door open to Max Verstappen at the start of this weekend's Mexican Grand Prix. But was that the case? And why would Bottas do this? I'm going to take a racing driver's perspective to explain each step as it happened. So first of all, exactly what did Lewis say? Well, after the race, Hamilton explained that he had envisioned it differently, in the sense that maybe Valtteri had got a better start and I would have tried to get in his toe. But I was alongside him, which was good, and then I was just covering my side of the track, trying to make sure that no one could come up the inside. So I was trying to keep whichever Red Bull I could see in my mirror behind, and I thought Valtteri would be doing the same. But obviously he left the door open for Max, and Max was on the racing line, and so did a mega job breaking into turn one. Because I was on the inside on the dirt, there was no hope for me. So saying your teammate has left the door open is the same as saying he intentionally let your championship rival past without much, if any, defence. And I have to say, I agree with Lewis here. It was a very weak defence from Bottas, borderline waving Verstappen through. So let's quickly run through what actually happened at the start after me watching lots and lots of slow-mos. So as we know, it's an 890 metre run down to turn one at the Mexican Grand Prix, meaning there's plenty of time to get a tow and get in a position to overtake your rivals. Bottas and Hamilton got a decent getaway. Hamilton slightly better and managed to draw alongside Bottas. From here on in, Bottas remained slightly ahead of Hamilton all the way down to turn one, but the cars were practically alongside each other. Meanwhile, Verstappen's start matched the two Mercedes, but he was in the tow of Bottas and so had more speed, eventually catching Bottas and moving to the left to overtake. And it's this part that requires the explanation. Initially, it looks like there's no room for Verstappen to pass the two Mercedes, but just as Verstappen is on the back of Bottas, the left part of the circuit opens up and he suddenly has space, and importantly doesn't need to lift the throttle, maintaining his momentum. If you look at the replay, Bottas actually moves right early during his start, and then his trajectory means the gap on the left is gradually getting bigger and bigger until it's big enough for a Red Bull. When you look at Hamilton's onboard, his positioning was absolutely spot on. The space on his right up to the grass was slightly narrower than a Formula One car. Ultimately, this is all Hamilton had to play with, and in terms of blocking the cars behind, he was doing his job well. But the problem was that the gap between Bottas and Hamilton on his right was too small, much smaller than a Formula One car, and so not an effective use of blocking, as it opened up too much space for Verstappen on the left. If Bottas has been a little bit further over to the left, Verstappen likely wouldn't have got past. To be fair to Bottas, there is a lot going on at the start of a race, and as a driver he's naturally positioning his car so that if Verstappen does come, it's going to be around the outside, which is usually preferred. But on this occasion, there's just too much room available for Verstappen, and I think he could have actually made it so that Verstappen couldn't have got past going down to turn one. It's such a simple error that I can see why Hamilton thinks he left the door open. In fact, Toto Wolff seemed to agree after the race. He said, "These cars are very difficult to judge from the mirrors, what is actually happening behind you. But I think if they would have been more to the left, he wouldn't have been passed, he would have been blocked." And so from there on, Verstappen and Hamilton did an incredible job into turn one. First, Hamilton on the dirty side of the track with extra cold brakes after it took an absolute age for the drivers to line up on the grid, got his Mercedes slowed down incredibly well, given the tight line on which he needed to enter the corner. And then we have Max, granted on the normal line, the grippier racing line, but the confidence he had on the brakes was outstanding, and it just goes to show his natural driving ability. Unfortunately, Bottas was in a tricky situation going into turn one. Being in the middle of a three-wide battle is always tough. First, it's simply very tight being in the middle, but brake a little bit late and you run into the car on your outside, and brake too early and you lose a position or two and move back towards the pack, which is exactly what happened before he got tagged by Ricciardo. So let me know in the comments if and why you think Bottas didn't defend properly, and as always, remember to subscribe to the channel. Thanks again to Fuel for Fans for sponsoring this video, and check out them for the best Formula One merch. Cheers and see you next time.